There's something about the way you make me feel inside. I'm counting down the days till we fly away, heading to the sun, only you and me. Don't wanna waste another day being stuck here in this place. No, wanna hold your hand in mine, watch the sunset in your eyes. Baby, I want us to act like we are 22 right now. Just let go, lose control, play songs on the radio too loud. This could be magical. Whoa, whoa. This could be magical. Whoa, whoa. To escape, and here we are, driving narrow streets in a rusty car, leading to the sea. Think we're getting close. We should take a pic, baby, strike a pose. I remember every day that I spent right here with you. Yeah, you are the one who makes me feel as good as I do. Baby, I want us to act like we are 22 right now. Just let go, lose control, play songs on the radio too loud. This could be magical. Whoa, whoa. This could be magical. Whoa, whoa.
guys, happy Thursday. If you haven't been here before, my name is Jennifer. I'm a dog trainer and behavior counselor, and this is quickly becoming a place where we just talk about interesting pet-related things. If you have been here before, welcome back. Nice to see you. Say hi in the comments. Do I have anything in my teeth? I was trying to scarf down some food because I realized that I hadn't eaten anything until like 3 minutes before I had to go live, and I was like, you should probably eat because your brain doesn't function very well on just caffeine. So, don't know if you've tried that before, but it's not a good idea. So anyway, tell me if I do, please. So today, I wanted to talk about something I find really interesting, and if you are at all fascinated by psychology like I am, maybe you'll find this interesting too. But that is the idea of placebos. And particularly, we're going to get to how it plays a role in how we care for our pets. But before we start into all that stuff, I just want to make it very, very clear, since we're talking about medical stuff. I am not a vet. I am not a vet tech. I am in no way dispensing medical advice. This is just, we're just talking about the idea of placebos. That's it. So just to make that clear. I am also making the assumption that we all are familiar with how science works, that anytime there is a new idea or new technology, it is rigorously tested through the scientific process, hopefully with double-blind studies, hopefully with disclosure of any contradictory findings, and then even once you get past that point where there are statistically significant results, it then goes through the whole peer review process with, scrutiny and replication, really, really important. And then only then can we arrive at what we think is the truth. And even then, science is science, and it can even be revised indefinitely. So just to lay that out there. Also really important to acknowledge that the process isn't perfect. Studies can be imperfect. There are funding, sponsoring of studies that affect the results, unfortunately. Not always replicating results before publishing that stuff. And unfortunately, I think this leads a lot of people to question science as a whole, which I think is not, I don't think it's a good way of thinking, or at least it shows your hand that we're not understanding what science is. We know it's not perfect, but anyway, all that aside. Placebos, the concept of placebo and placebo studies are so interesting to me. And so just to define, let's first start by defining what a placebo is. Usually, this is what we're talking about when we say a patient feels better because they think they're receiving an effective treatment, even though it is medically inert. Until now, which is so fascinating. But for most of history, we have believed that the mechanism through which placebo works is deception, meaning the patient has to not know that they're not receiving a real treatment. A lot of studies have been done with sugar pills, and they're just not told which group they're in. If in a study, they're not told whether it's the real treatment or not. And what'll happen is a lot of the times the unit of measure, or the measurement, is self-reporting. Usually we're measuring stuff like pain, stuff that's subjective, and so the subjects report that they are feeling better. And that's where we see the largest effect, when the measurement is subjective. If we were to measure, like say we're talking about migraines, and there was a study to find out if the real pills were working, if the placebo is working, if we were measuring like how much the migraines hurt, that would be a subjective measure. If we were talking about the number of migraines, that would be quantifiable, and that's the sort of thing where we'd likely see much less of a placebo effect, because it's objective. Now, in human studies, in human use, I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? If someone's perceives that their symptoms have improved, even if they have not received a real treatment, hey, you know what? At least their quality of life, by their own determination, has improved. That's not a bad thing. But here's where things get interesting. I know that there have been multiple studies at this point. The one that I am most familiar with was a study regarding IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, and it blew my mind when I heard this, because what it ultimately proved, or what it showed, is that deception isn't really the key component, that patients could know that they're receiving a placebo treatment and still experience those psychological effects of improved symptoms. So I'll tell you a little bit about that study. The 69% of the placebo group, the open label placebo group, because there was a double-blind placebo group, there was a open label placebo group. I'm getting all tongue-tied. And yeah, of the open label placebo group, 69% reported improved symptoms. The symptoms were, or the measurement was based on what they called IBS severity scoring system, which they said measured the frequency and severity of pain, their quality of life, and other factors. So still highly subjective, still self-reported improvements. But they knew that they were receiving the placebo, and still, like, 69% is huge, right? So this kind of blew my mind. It opened the door to a lot of other studies being done, and I haven't dug into all of that research yet. But I think it's pretty fascinating. It's kind of showing us that we didn't know as much as we thought we knew, which is always interesting. So, all fascinating, right? But there is another concept within this realm of placebo that, when I first heard about it, also light bulb, mind-blowing moment. And that is the caregiver placebo effect. Now, you would think that this wouldn't be a thing, right? Because dogs don't know that they're being treated, so they can't experience that same psychological effect of like, oh, I'm being treated, and evaluating their symptoms and like that, and they can't even speak to us. But the caregiver, the guardian, the veterinarians, anyone caring for an animal and wanting their symptoms to improve, seeking treatment, they can perceive an improvement that's not actually there. This, of course, doesn't even offer the same little benefit of human placebo, where where the subject, where the patient is experiencing an improvement, even if nothing really happened. So it can be detrimental for the pets in our care. And that's why it's so interesting how this happens. And it's helpful to understand how this happens as the parent, guardian, caretaker of any animals, because we can all fall prey to it, all of us. And if if the animals that we love are suffering from any kind of anything, we want to make sure that the treatments that we're offering them are actually benefiting them objectively. Not just based on our perceptions. So I just wanted to talk today a little bit about how this works, and maybe a little bit about how to kind of evaluate what how we're caring for our animals. So like I said, okay, the caregiver placebo effect is what happens when owners and vets see improvement where there is actually none. It is super, super common. And when owners see improvement, but the dog's actual suffering hasn't been alleviated. The owner's worry, the owner's concern over this issue feels better, and so they can stop seeking further treatment for the dog if they believe a condition has been resolved. The poor dog, unfortunately, well, I say dogs because I work with dogs, but it could be any animal, is still dealing with whatever the original condition is. So when any new treatment product enters the market, or actually even before that, is proposed, they really should be going through the same rigorous scientific process as any medical treatment. Unfortunately, they don't. A lot of treatments, like so many, get categorized as alternative medicine or complementary or alternative medicine. And a lot of these things they're not required to go through that same rigorous process before they hit the market. And then people they're free to buy them and use them, and we don't really know the effectiveness of them. Actually, if you're working with your vet to resolve a condition that your dog has or your pet has, this isn't, a lot of this stuff isn't included as a core part of veterinary education. So it's up to an individual vet to do their own research as to the effectiveness and the safety of any individual treatment, and they do, and they should, and that's great. But it's I think it's a problem. I think it's a problem that all treatments aren't subjected to that same rigorous process of proving their effectiveness, proving their safety. And so we should, that's all I'm saying, is we should be evaluating any new treatment with double-blind studies. And in the case of treatments for animals, what that double-blind would include, because the pet's already blinded, right? Like I said, they don't know that they're being treated. But what needs to happen is the owners and the vets need to be blinded in the study as to whether or not their animals are actually objectively benefiting. There needs to be more objective measures in these studies rather than just perception, because the perception is the effect, right? That's the what can potentially cause a problem. And unfortunately, this rarely happens, and the market's huge for this stuff. It is absolutely enormous, and new products are coming on the market all the time, all the time. And so the studies that I'm aware of at this point that have been done show that this placebo effect occurred in about 40% of owners and 40% of veterinarians, even, who knew what was going on. But again, when it's studied, or when the measurement is objective, Oh gosh. Okay, let me try and remember real quick. I'm trying to think of one example study that I have heard about, and I want to say it was like arthritis or some kind of joint issue, joint pain, and the owners reported improved mobility, but when they actually measured the amount of pressure that the animal would put on that said joint, there was not actually any improvement. So that's a kind of difference between the subjective and objective measurements that we see. Are you still with me? Say hi in the comments. I'd love to know who's watching, and if are we finding this as interesting as I do? I think this is just fascinating. Why does this happen? First of all, I think I mean, if you've got a pet, you love the heck out of them, right? We don't want them to suffer. We want them to feel better. It's our desire to make their lives better is huge. And so we really hope that whatever treatment that we're seeking for them will work. And when we're hoping and wanting that much, it can lead us to, confirmation bias, where we're seeking out the evidence that proves that we're doing something right, or proves that we're right, or proves, we just really want to see that improvement, and that can cause us to look for evidence that fits with what we want to happen. Even if there's contradictory evidence, like I said, we are all, we can all fall victim to this, or rather our dogs are really more the victims in this situation, which is sad. But it's why I really think that we should, as individuals, because when we're not all like legit scientists, but we can think that way, and we can evaluate the treatments that we are agreeing to give our dogs to more scrutiny ourselves. And I think that this can benefit us and our dogs, our pets. I'm being inclusive today. It's all pets. So yes, let's see. Okay, so right, I said it's the hope, it's the wanting them to feel better. The other reason that this might happen is because we invest time and money and emotion really into helping our animals, and when you put in those resources, put in that effort, by golly, it better work, right? Otherwise, we feel stupid, we feel guilty, we feel all these negative emotions, and our brains want to avoid that. So that's another reason why we might see an improvement, see an effect that's not there. And finally, and this is kind of the good part. Finally, when we're treating our dogs, sometimes our behavior may change in general, which can cause an actual improvement. This can be a good thing. If you've done any training, which if you've got a dog, I'll bet money that you have, you know that our human behavior dramatically affects our dogs' lives, their experience, their behavior. Because we are part of their environment, and so what we do affects what they do, what they experience. And so our behavior could be, if something's going on, if we know that our dog has a problem, we might be increasing or adjusting the amount of affection or attention that we're offering dogs. We might be doing more training, actually, if it's a behavior-related problem. But we change things. We might even change their environment. We might, say your dog does have some kind of joint or mobility issue. once you recognize it's a problem, once you seek treatment, and the vet's involved and they've offered you something, you might also be doing other things. Like you might, I don't know, rearrange the furniture. You might buy a more comfortable bed for that dog. And so we're doing other things that could also be contributing to an improvement. But it's classified as the caregiver placebo when there are those real improvements, but they're misattributed to a different treatment other than our behavior, right? So multiple reasons why this occurs, and it's bad for our dogs because, again, if we're seeing an improvement, we're not seeking additional treatment and they're still suffering. It can cause an financial burden, undue financial burden on just an owner who wants to find help for their dog. And with so many products on the market, you don't know what to trust, what's going to actually be effective. And so kind of when we're in that position, I've been in this position, I'll try anything, and which is fine if you can afford it. But a lot of times treatments are not cheap. Pet care in general, like if you stamp something, and say this is for dogs, that's like an automatic tax, it's automatic price bump. If like, and you know this, if you go to buy like those tunnels, right? I have seen like agility tunnels, and granted there are some differences, but if you're just looking for like a fun toy, something for your dog, you could buy like a cheap-ish agility tunnel, made for dogs, and it's gonna be crazy expensive. You could go buy like almost the exact same thing, but it's for children, and it's like $15. It's like way cheaper. But this happens with a lot of pet products. The markup is insane. All that to say, pet products are expensive. Pet treatments are expensive, especially if it's health related. And we don't all have like unlimited funds to be seeking help for our dogs. And so when you're looking for something that will help, wouldn't it be nice if we just knew like, okay, that's not going to be effective. That absolutely is. Obviously, that clarity, is going to save you money and time and the amount of suffering that your dog has to endure because you're not delaying the improvement in their health by trying different things that just don't work before you find the thing that does. But unfortunately, our world is not that clear. And so that's why we have science. That's why I'm such a fan. Okay, sorry. My brain just went like on a real quick, like, it just devolved with my train of thought. I'm not even going to go there. But yeah, it's our world's not that clear. So we have to kind of do our own evaluation in a lot of cases. Or hopefully you've got a vet that can kind of like help you through this process, and they're willing to do some research on your behalf as well. That's always wonderful. But yeah, it's kind of a bummer that treatments get categorized differently. It's like there's medicine, and then there's this whole other category of complementary alternative medicine, and the stuff that gets categorized as over here is more often than not subjected to rigorous scientific study before it's offered to the public, and it just shouldn't be that way. There shouldn't be alternative medicine. Frankly, if it's a proposed way of helping or healing our pets, it should just be medicine that has scientific study and evidence proving its effectiveness and its safety, and then there should be treatments that are just not yet proven yet. Like alternative medicine, the label just shouldn't be a thing. And the things that get put in this category, unfortunately, because and I want to be clear here again, I'm not making a value judgment on like all of it, because again, it's just potentially unproven. Some of it may be effective, a lot of it probably isn't. But I'm asking for further study, further scrutiny. But the labels that usually fall under this complementary and alternative medicine are things like homeopathy, holistic medicine, natural remedies. What else? Food supplements, and oh gosh, yes, food supplements, pre and probiotics, nutraceuticals, dietary things, and it can even be devices like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of like thunder shirts, doesn't have to be something ingested, but yeah, any kind of treatment that isn't just called medicine falls over here. And yeah, again, like I said, it's not that they don't work. It's just they've not been proven. And so if they're not working, but they are falling prey to this caregiver placebo effect, they're going to still be out there. And or what happens then is you get people who swear by it. They swear up and down it works. That message spreads, more people try it, but maybe their pets aren't receiving actual relief from their condition. And this is a bummer. This is particularly relevant to my work because, and this is a good thing. It's why I love working with separation anxiety, is because the measurement, I mean, as complicated as it can get, the measurement is pretty straightforward. It's pretty objective. We are looking at how long a dog can cope with being alone before they go over their threshold and they're experiencing too much anxiety that they can't recover. And here's what's beautiful about it. With the way that we work with separation anxiety, is that because our unit of measurement is objective, some of these treatments that a lot of owners might swear by, when they're used for separation anxiety, they fall short because the unit of measurement is suddenly objective, and it shows that it's not as effective as the claims were. Which, for us is good. It helps us narrow down what treatments are effective and help guide people directly to what is the thing that's most likely to work, which in our case is desensitization, which I'm not going to go all into because we can do that again another day, and again and again. But it's nice because it helps narrow our focus, so that we can get to the most effective treatment faster, relieve the dog suffering faster, relieve the humans struggle with this issue because it's hard for people faster. And the thing is, if there were rigorous studies with objective measurements for all treatments, no matter what the condition was, we'd be able to find this benefit for other conditions as well. Unfortunately, a lot of the time the measurement is very subjective, and when it's based on our reporting as our animals' guardians, that's just never going to be objective. So what do you guys think? Interesting? Before I can't forget to recommend a book that I think is very eye-opening. And the way it's written is very fair. It's written by a veterinarian named Brennan McKenzie. The book is called Placebos for Pets? ? And yeah, he's a vet. He's done his own research into the common products that are on the market, and I think that the way that he presents all of these ideas is very fair. And so if you've got an animal and you are ever overwhelmed or confused by all of the treatments that are out there, and you'd like to maybe save some money, or at least have a perspective to help you make your own judgments about where you want to spend your resources, it's great. It's a good book. It's kind of long, but it's very good, very well written, very well researched, I think. So again, that's the book Placebo for Pets ? Author Brennan McKenzie, VMD. So yeah. Oh, and it's been a while since I read it, but he has a very like for any given treatment, I believe to stay as objective as possible, his questions that he would ask about a new treatment are, first of all, what is it? Is it effective? Is it safe? The additional question that I always think about is, not only is it safe, like as in, does it not cause like physical damage to the animal, but also can it have emotional, can it cause emotional damage, in that the animal might be suffering for longer needlessly. Delays in treatment, I think that's often overlooked, the delays in treatment for animals who have chronic medical conditions or psychological conditions. Animals can suffer from mental conditions, anxiety, the same as we can, especially in captivity. There's a lot of things that happen with animals in captivity that just aren't present in the wild, and that's just a truth that I guess we have to deal with if we are going to own animals. But there you have it. So yeah, what kind of damage, other than the obvious like physical damage that can be done? We said delay in treatment. I said the financial loss of the owners that are, throwing money at treatments that aren't when we're so desperate, we're so hopeless that we'll throw money at the wall, we'll try anything. And the emotional, our human emotional turmoil that goes along with just over and over not having things work. That's a real effect, and that's I think very worthy of consideration when we're talking about alternative medicine, alternative treatments. And so back to the book. It's a really good book. I highly recommend it. I feel like I'm going on an emotional roller coaster just talking about this, because I'm like, I just want so badly to help. So anyway, there you have it. Do you have any questions? Like I said, I'm not here dispensing any kind of medical advice. I'm just sharing, what I have read that I find really fascinating, and hopefully it gives you some food for thought. If you do have questions, I can't guarantee I'll be able to answer them, because again, this is just beyond my, not just beyond, it's pretty far beyond my realm of expertise. But if you have questions, maybe that's something that I can look into. I am all about, learning more. And so, yeah, maybe we can all learn something together. With that, I think I'm going to call it a day. We're going to call it a day early so I can actually go eat. Like I said, didn't get to eat much before starting the show, so my brain is not firing on all cylinders. But still, this has been fun. So there you have it. If you like this kind of content, it helps support me and the channel and my ability to continue to show up and talk about stuff like this when you share the videos, like them, comment, and most of all, subscribe. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you guys next week. All right, take care. Bye.